book reading, Mind and Medicine by Charleton Whitehead. Mind, Medicine, Charleton Whitehead, first printing 1974. You'll see right here, first printing 1974. 1974. All right, boom. It's a little short booklet. I love my esoteric stuff. Love that. So it's Tricrest Printing, Chicago, Illinois. The religious science point view of the religious science point of view concerning medicine. You know, on my live streams, I always like to do read alouds with books that I own, that are from my collection. Sometimes I read books that might be listed on eBay or Etsy at some point, but I always want to have some intellectual literature I like to share with you guys. So we'll read some of this. Start off right here. Cool. To all the men and women everywhere who devote their time, talent, faith, and love to healing. Science and Mind Center in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. There are three important reasons that we understand the religious science point of view concerning medicine. First and foremost is that in religious science, we are involved in the practice of medicine. This may amaze some people and sound like a rather startling statement until one looks at the definition of medicine. This is not the definition of medicine as a preparation for the treatment of disease, such as something that you take into your mouth as pills and that sort of thing. It is the definition of medicine as the science and the start of the cure and the prevention of disease. In religious science, we are very much involved in healing and prevention of disease. The second reason for understanding our viewpoint is that the entire field of health and well-being is extremely important to all of us. The third reason is that there still seems to be considerable misunderstanding in the minds of many people about the attitude towards doctors. The cause of this misunderstanding or confusion is that we are sometimes associated with Christian Science and thus with their position regarding doctors, which is that of non-cooperation. In religious science, we believe in cooperation with doctors. This has not always been the case. In early days of metaphysical healing and what is more generally known as New Thought movement, there was a great deal of opposition to doctors and medical profession. There was also opposition on the part of the medical profession to metaphysical healing. The development of these 2 points of view and how they have changed in recent years gives us not only a fascinating story, but a basis for understanding our present position. Initial developments. For the picture to be clear, we have to recognize that in the mid-1800s, mental healing was first practiced in the country by a man named Phineas Parkhurst Quimby. He was a healer in New England who had remarkable success over a period of 20 years. His healings are verifiable in the files of the newspaper still extant primarily in Belfast, Maine. These have been studied by historians such as Charles Braden, a man of high scholarly repute, and who for many years was a professor of religious history and literature at Northwestern University. He has thoroughly checked the reports of the healing by Quimby and states that there are no questions about their validity. At the time, it is important to remember that science and philosophy were of the fixed opinion that this universe was entirely mechanistic. They believed that it was one vast mechanical machine. Man was simply a reacting organism. Thinking was no more than electrical impulses bouncing around in the brain. All emotions resulted from malfunctioning of nerves and glands. This was the position in regards to man by scientists and philosophers in the medical profession during the last half of the 19th century. They seem to be saying man is all body, and therefore the treatment of man has to deal with body. When all the mechanical laws are understood and the pieces put together in the right order, man will function healthily. When his body is healthy, then because his brain is part of the mechanism and his thinking will be straight, the impulses will follow in the right order. since the nerves and glands will be healthy, and then he won't have emotions, good, bad, or indifferent. The entire focus of the medical profession was on the treatment and manipulation of the body. On the opposition side, the metaphysicians said the body is not important because everything stems from mind. The only way to approach healing is from the standpoint of mind. The 2 points in view were completely and totally polarized. One focused on the body, saying that to treat from the standpoint of mind was ridiculous because the mind was a part of the body. The other focused on mind, saying that to treat from the standpoint of body was ridiculous because the body was an expression of mind. I'm going to just read this whole thing. It's not too long, so you guys get a full pamphlet reading today. 2-hour long stream. It's okay. It's all good. Early 1900s. This polarization continued through about the first 40 years of this century. 2 facts from among many are sufficient to bear this out. The first, Dr. Arnold Hunsaker, the famous New York physician, states in The Will to Live that when he was in medical school in the late 1920s, he and other students were told emphatically their domain was the body. Leave the mind and the emotions alone. The second, in Declaration of Principles of the New Thought Alliance, there was the statement by metaphysicians, we believe in healing by mind alone. Then came some rapid developments. The first nuclear reaction was set off under the University of Chicago Stadium in the early 1940s. It proved Einstein's theory and dissolved the mechanistic idea of the universe. Consequently, since there was no mechanistic universe, there could be no mechanistic man. Science, medicine, and philosophy had to completely revise their thinking about the universe and about man. The advent of psychomosmatic medicine in the 1940s was primarily due to doctors in the armed forces observing the tremendous effect of mental and emotional stress upon the servicemen. This led to a whole new dimension in the field of medicine. More recent developments. In 1955, Dr. Hans Selye of McGill University in Montreal exploded a verbal bomb at the American Medical Association's convention that was nearly equivalent to the explosion caused by Einstein's relativity theory. Dr. Selye, presenting the results over 25 years of intensive scientific research, stated that the root cause of all disease is unrelieved stress, not physical stress, because the body will withstand an untold amount of pure physical stress without breaking down. But unrelieved mental and emotional stress has showed scientific evidence of how stress produces disturbances in the body, which I believe wholeheartedly. Next came the work of H.S. Burr at Yale University, whose 35 years of research revealed that behind the visible body is an invisible energy body. It is the energy body that sustains and governs the visible body, maintaining its shape, structure, and function. When this energy body is weakened, the functioning of the physical body is weakened. The various functions don't operate properly, and the marvelous resistance of that body has to repel invaders is diminished. Actually, I have to read that again because that's very important. That is very important. It is this energy body that sustains and governs the visible body, maintaining its shape, structure, and function. When this energy body is weakened, the functioning of the physical body is weakened. The various functions don't operate properly, and the marvelous resistance that the body has to repel invaders is diminished. You have to think properly all the time. You have to have a good, proper mind, which then projects out to the world a proper physical body. All right? You think good, which means you'll feel good, which means you'll look good. That's very important. The various functions don't operate properly, and the marvelous resistance of that body has to repel invaders is diminished. Thus, the body is left prey to germs, microbes, viruses, etc. What drains the energy is unrelieved mental and emotional stress. It is like a short circuit in the electrical system of your car. If it remains overnight, your car won't start the next morning. That's true. That is the way the body feels when it is drained of energy over a period of time by unrelieved mental and emotional stress. Seeley's discoveries and many other similar developments have sparked a recognition that intense research must be done in this field. It is being carried on in some of the famous medical centers, such as Menninger in Kansas, Maimonides in New York, Zion on the West Coast, and in others in the country and in Europe. There is an accelerating recognition that the mind and the body are one. They are inseparable. Hence, the use of the term psychokosma, mind and body interrelating. Psychokosoma, mind and body interrelating. Psychokosoma. At the same time, those in metaphysical healing began to recognize the importance of care of the body, and the many times physical therapy is extremely desirable and helpful in the process of healing. The change in thinking on both sides has moved toward general agreement that we are mental, spiritual, emotional, physical beings, and that only the integrated approach to persons is effective in healing. There is presently one part at which doctors and metaphysicians meet in complete agreement. This is in a statement by famous Canadian physician, Dr. William Osler, and often quoted by medical profession. The doctor binds up the wounds, God heals. The doctor binds up the wounds, God heals. There is one healing power. This is not a power outside in a way that has to be brought into action. It is the life, the healing power of God within. Doctors with their therapy seek to provide the best possible physical conditions for the action of this healing power. In spiritual mind healing, we seek to provide the best possible mental and emotional conditions in which the healing can take place. Use of spiritual mind treatment. We're almost done. We have a couple pages left. These are short. I like this. This is actually really good stuff. How do we do this? First, by recognizing what Dr. Seeley meant when he said that prolonged unrelieved stress is a cause of disease. It is, of course, no longer news that tension, fear, anxiety, hostility, resentment, hopelessness, and despair adversely affect your health. During the last 25 years, a profusion of articles on the subject has appeared in both professional and lay publications. With this recognition, we, with mind treatment, seek first to relieve the stress causing the illness, for unless the cause is cleared, there cannot be complete healing. Spiritual mind treatment essentially is the realization of the presence of God in the one to be healed, oneself or another. A clear realization of the presence of God dissolves fear, the basic emotion on which feed anxiety, hostility, hopelessness, and despair. With the stress released, the cause is cleared and the natural healing power is free to do its miraculous work, renewal. Here, the question is often asked, what about the condition or circumstance that caused the stress? This brings up a key point. Stress is not caused by outer conditions. Stress is not caused by outer conditions, but by the mental and emotional responses to the conditions. Let me say that one more time. Stress is not caused by outer conditions, but by the mental and emotional responses to the conditions. Since the responses are in consciousness, it is here where the work needs to be done. A change in consciousness produces a changed response. Let me say that one more time. A change in consciousness produces a changed response. Therefore, we go directly to the realization of the presence of God as intelligence, wisdom and creative power inherent to the person. This is the capacity that can be enabled to meet successfully the stressful conditions of life and develop healthy responses to them. This, of course, isn't anything new. Moses taught it. Jesus taught it. The wise down through the ages have taught it. All said in essence that the more one becomes aware of the inner presence, the less one reacts with fear. Anyone who really glimpses the divine potential within can no longer dwell in hopelessness, because with this vision, no situation or condition is hopeless. Some may ask, is this prayer? Yes, it is prayer in the sense that it is union of consciousness with the consciousness of God. It is not prayer in the form of asking for healing. Do we ask the power of electricity to flow? We provide the circuits through which it flows naturally. Let me say that again. It is not prayer in the form of asking for healing. Do we ask the power of electricity to flow? We provide the circuits through which it flows naturally. Do we ask the natural, normal healing power of life to flow? We clear the channels through which it can flow more fully. The fact that it is flowing in our bodies all the time, obviously. The healing power of God is active in our bodies all the time, but the attitudes of fear, hopelessness, and despair clog the channels and work against the wonderful power of life. Open the channels and life again will flow freely. Open the channels and life again flows freely. We have 1.5 pages left. We're on the last one. Last one. We almost finished this full booklet. We're almost there. I'm glad I did. It's actually really good stuff. And it's a book read off my list. The function of faith. Now we add an extremely important factor, faith. In some marvelous way that no one understands, the healing power of God, of faith within us, is tremendously accelerated by faith. Jesus emphasized this repeatedly, saying to the one healed, "Thy faith has made thee whole." And I didn't do anything. The Father within did the work, referring to the power of God in the one healed. So, in prayer and spiritual mind treatment, we open up our consciousness to faith in God, the intelligence and life that designed and created the body, and that certainly knows how to heal it. With the quickening of faith, the healing action is accelerated, sometimes to the point of instant healing. There is so much evidence of this that there is no longer any question that it occurred, that it does occur. Yes, we are involved in the science and in the art of healing, but even more important, we are involved in the science and the art of prevention of illness. That's a good point. Say that one more time. Yes, we are involved in the science and the art of healing, but even more important, we are involved in the science and the art of prevention of illness. Our focus is primarily to learn to live so that we don't get sick in the first place, to develop a consciousness that handles the normal stresses of life so that stress does not manhandle us. The more we abide in the secret place of the Most High, the more we respond to the stress of life in a healthy way. As an awareness of the presence and the power of the undwelling God develops, fear and its attendant stresses can no longer take hold. When you practice prayer, spiritual mind treatment, and meditation regularly 3 times a day, you put a stop to the cause of dysfunction in your body. Furthermore, within 6 months, you will be absolutely amazed at the tremendous improvements that has taken place in your health. People will look at you and think that a miracle took place. A miracle does take place every time that we really open up our consciousness to the presence of God. More of life, more of light, and power flow through our entire being, mental, emotional, physical. And its natural action is to radiate health. For more information on internet additional writings and tape cassettes, contact the author, 936 North Michigan Ave, Chicago. So we finished this little booklet. I'm glad I did. I got this off my list. And, I'm not crazy religious. Traditionally, I am Christian. I was baptized Christian. I come from a Christian background and family. And so I guess I will say I am Christian. I do believe in God, but More so, I am spiritual, and more so, I take lessons from all religions. And this is just a really powerful concept in a book and a booklet that I truly resonate with, because if you have your mind proper, that helps the physical body in so many ways. It will morph your body in so many ways. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physician. I'm not giving any health advice at all. I'm just giving you what this book read and my beliefs within that. So The Mind in Medicine by Charleton Whitehead, first printing 1974. I gave you the full reading today, the very full reading. Hopefully you enjoyed that.